Okay guys, welcome back to another video with Derek Okahashi and Core Team Hawaii on moving to Hawaii, moving to Oahu. I'm standing on the tip of Diamond Head right now. Famous surf spot over there, luxury real estate on the cliff, famous hike. Diamond Head's a landmark on this island. We're right next to Waikiki, and today we're gonna get into neighborhoods that kind of border and surround Waikiki. So we're gonna go to Kapahulu, Waialae, the Diamond Head area, Kaimuki. We might even get into Makiki, Palolo, areas near the University of Hawaii. We don't say the city in Hawaii, we say town. And so this is a specific part of town. Can't wait to show you guys. I like this part of the video because I just talk, talk like normal. It can be challenging sometimes in the intro and outro not to perform, Have you ever heard of the house here called Glass Coffin?
I heard of that.
The legend has it that this person, it was a luxury estate type of home, and so it was all glass in the front, and there was a coffin right there.
I heard something about that too, like high school era.
Yeah. So you'll find in Hawaii there are these folklores. There's Morgan's Corner where supposedly your car will roll uphill. Or is that suicide? So there's a place like that. There's Morgan's Corner. The Pali Lookout, you're not supposed to take pork up there. Things like that. I'm actually gonna turn left, or we came down Diamond Head, and I'm turning left on Coconut Avenue. This here in Waikiki, this is called the Gold Coast area. When I used to work for the ceiling fan company, Pacific Ceiling Fans, which we showed in our Pro City video, usually I didn't do deliveries or installations. I sold, which, go figure, look what I'm doing now, right? They were like, hey, go deliver these fans down here. We pulled into this house with this stack of really expensive fans, like top of the line ceiling fans. There were electricians and plumbers, everyone working. It was a job site, and the back was really high quality sliding glass doors. They had it open and the breeze was coming in. And growing up on the island, I never knew anyone that lived in this small set of 10 homes or 20 homes that's right here. I asked one of the people, I said, hey, whose house is this? He said, you ever heard of that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? I said, yeah, I heard of it. He said, this is the guy's house, Robert Kiyosaki. He's actually from Hawaii. My dream was to buy that house or one of these houses. So we'll see if it still happens or if it's still a dream of mine one day. I don't know that I necessarily want to live right here in Waikiki, at the edge of Waikiki, but it was really cool to be in Robert Kiyosaki's home. And then, one day down the line, I'm like a Kiyosaki follower. If you're interested in building wealth and in building, anything, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's where you start to shift your paradigm on resource management, wealth creation. One of the other things you can see here, there's these homes that look like little cottages, like a Bavarian cottage, something you would see in Leavenworth in Washington or on the coast in Scotland or something like that. And you see the sign there that says City and County of Honolulu Historic Residence. Like some other places in America, when your home is classified as a historic residence, there are some things having to do with code and conformity that you don't have to abide by anymore. But this would be a really cool place to live, or to have an Airbnb or something. And Robert Kiyosaki at least used to, I don't know if he still does, but at least used to have a home there. It was the first time I thought, you know what? If you really work hard and grow as a person and become valuable to the economy, maybe you can own a home like that. Maybe I can own a home like that. That's my story on the Gold Coast. We're not gonna go in Waikiki today. That'll be a whole separate video. But this is Kapiolani Park. Many people, I think everyone in Hawaii has some sort of childhood memory of Kapiolani Park. Yeah, whether you played soccer there or just big family barbecues or surf contests. As Central Park is to New York, Kapiolani Park is to Hawaii. So we are coming up on the edge of La Pietra all-girls school. One of the things La Pietra is known for is their swimming pool. My stepmom used to come here for physical therapy. It's an old historic school that many of I'm sure politicians' daughters and all sorts of stuff have gone to. They have weddings at La Pietra School. It's just a really cool historic type of building. When you're in Waikiki, you're in Honolulu, the folklore, the history, the heritage attached to Waikiki and in town in Honolulu, I think La Pietra kind of captures that in some way. I would guarantee you Duke Kahanamoku has been here for events, and all the famous Beach Boys and important Hawaii figureheads of the past have all come through here at some point. And you have homes built in the late 1800s, 1900s. You're not gonna find this in Eva. It's just a different thing. I was just in Nashville visiting my father, and In downtown Franklin, there's historic places like the McConnell House that used to be an old prison that they turned into a restaurant. It's really cool. That's what Waikiki and Honolulu is for us. Okay, so we're gonna turn on Paki Street. Oh no, this is Noella. That was Paki, right? Because Paki Park.
Yeah.
Paki Park used to be where, I don't know if it's still a thing, but I think on Thursday night, Paki Park was like the best basketball games on the island. Did you play there?
Yeah, dude.
They would have players from UH, Chaminade, like the university players would go to Paki Park. So I used to play basketball, I used to hoop regularly, but probably not that good for the college players at Paki Park, So this just shows like the type of architecture and construction that you could experience on the bluffs of Diamond Head near Waikiki. See, like, look at that house. Is that a firehouse? No, it's a resident. It looks like something kind of commercial, right? Wow, look at this tree house in there.
This is like super creeper.
I know.
I can't.
Stalker status. It's just a really nice home with a tree house. I think I'm starting to remember why it was my dream to live in this area. My dad grew up on the beach in Waikiki. He kind of fended for himself since he was a teenager. And along with the old Waikiki beach boy culture, Waikiki was the hub for all the people from Hollywood and the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all that stuff. That rich culture and this sort of luxury real estate right next to it, maybe we will make this the end goal again. I don't know. Sometimes you're entering an impressive piece of real estate from the driveway. Hawaii land is so valuable and so expensive. And when you're buying real estate in Hawaii, you're primarily paying for the land, right? If you look at the tax assessed value, 80% or more of what you're buying is the value of the land. Now, if you had to rebuild, so $1 million house, if you had to rebuild that $1 million house, would you only pay $200,000 to rebuild it and $800 for the land? No. But the land is typically more valuable than the home. So we are next to a luxury estate that is actually for sale, listed by Compass Real Estate. It is impressive to say the least. Imagine how amazing it would be to live with this proximity. You can walk down and surf, Waikiki, enjoy nice restaurants, run in the park, jog. You can see tourists. You're gonna deal with tourists, right? Only tourists would drive these three-wheeled vehicle sort of thing. But yeah, as far as luxury real estate goes, there's a handful of places on the island, right? Less expensive places to get into the coastal real estate market would be Ewa Beach and the Waianae Coast. You're buying a certain lifestyle here versus the others, right? And the lifestyle you're buying here is you are adjacent to, very close walking distance to, a stone's throw to one of the most popular tourist destinations on the island. If you've ever been to the Bay Area, Oakland, there's a neighborhood called Piedmont. And Piedmont is unlike other areas of Oakland. They have their own governing system and their own police department. This feels like a tropical Piedmont. There are probably some other areas in the country that we could draw parallels to. People had decided to put 3 homes. There's 3 small plantation homes, and you have an original owner like Auntie who lives in the back and rents out the front 2. That's a common thing. Or you can see that like they bulldozed the house there and built a new one. They probably bulldozed the house there and built a new one at some point. As long as the lot size is sufficient, if someone sells a really old plantation home that is weathered and beat down, they'll just bulldoze it and build a monster house. So it'd be this huge house that extends to the limits of the setback requirement, so 5 feet from the wall, and it takes up the entire lot, 2-story, because the land's so valuable. And as a rental, it's hard to make rentals cash flow in Hawaii. But if you were going to build a rental and your goal was to cash flow, you use every piece of the land you can. I do wish more people would keep the small plantation home with the nice yard and the mango tree. See the mangoes hanging?
Wait, let me get that.
Yeah, so my clients are like, oh, those are called street mangoes. He's like, yeah, that's street mangoes. All throughout this neighborhood, you can go and just reach over because people's mango trees are hanging over, onto the sidewalk. And we talk about different construction types in Hawaii. If you look at this home, this is an old plantation style home. It's lifted, so you can see like the lattice where you can crawl underneath. Oh, nice mango tree, by the way. There's a better example. So it's, really thin walls, You can crawl underneath the house. You see how the window sticks out? Sliding window. In a more modern style house, there would just be a whole nother wall. So the window wouldn't be sticking out because there would be a void space for like insulation and wiring and plumbing and all that. But instead, all the wiring and plumbing, maybe not the wiring, but the plumbing and stuff goes under this house. Some of our clients, that's all they want, right? They want that Hawaii charm and character. They take a couple steps up and open the jealousy windows and be in this really breezy, small Hawaii plantation house with, you know, a mango tree, or I think this is a jabong tree. There's CMU or concrete blocks on the bottom, and then it's built of wood, a thinner double wall style up top. This house would be more of a blend or a mix of like kind of older Hawaii with newer Hawaii. Cost per square foot's different depending on what kind of finishing and what construction type, right? If you wanted something that looked like it was from Scottsdale, Arizona, a really modern construction type, it might cost $550 per square foot. Some people will build a brand new house today with that older plantation style, and they'll choose to do it, you know, in 2021, because cost per square foot could go down to, after COVID with all the inflation, maybe as low as $200 per square foot or something to build a house like that, versus getting up into the $400, $500, $600 per square foot for a more modern built home. And then if we look to the side over there, those homes are built to withstand a hurricane. I would say more so than some of the others. In Pearl City, Kailua, Kaneohe, Ewa Beach, I'm sure I've mentioned it over and over and over, Hawaii construction types are very different. You know, older home versus newer home, where it could just mean brand new home, but different cost to build and different tolerance for insulation and weather. You'll notice too in this neighborhood, there's not a lot of trees like on the sidewalks. So like the medians don't have a bunch of trees. You could move to a place like Kailua, Kaneohe, and probably the streets will be a little more tree lined. You might not be able to find street mangoes as easily either. You can see our proximity to Waikiki, yeah? If I were a little higher up the street, you could see the ocean. You can see all the hotels in Waikiki. If you look up the road this way, Kapiolani Community College is over there. See that big building over there? If we go over there into the Waialae area, then there's Chaminade University. We're not too far from University of Hawaii, which is in a valley over there. You can see why this is a prime location for people that work or go to the universities, their kids work or go to the universities. From this point, you could be on the freeway in probably 3 or 4 minutes. Oh yeah, another thing is I see these girls walking to the beach. It's not too tough of a walk to get to Kapiolani Park and to the beach over here. So if you keep going down, where you start to see all the trees, that is Kapiolani Park. And then right beyond Kapiolani Park is the ocean. There's a Waikiki Wall, Sans Souci, Publix, the aquarium, you know, different parts of Waikiki. So it's also a lifestyle where you can take your kids and tire them out and walk to the beach, go swim. Not the walkability of Kailua town, not the walkability of Kaka'ako, but one of the more walkable areas on the island. All right, so we're turning onto Montserrat, a main road going up the side of Diamond Head. Waikiki school, I learned from some friends, a Coast Guard chief was retiring, selling his home, which we'll probably show eventually. His kids went to Waikiki school and they loved it. And I met some of the other parents. According to these people, we have to navigate these things, is extremely sought after. It's like a school that people strive specifically to get into, according to these people, not me. You see some cool shops and stuff on your left. Shave Ice and Diamond Head Cafe, the coffee bean and tea leaf, smoothies, sushi. Oh, Anna's favorite sushi? Really? So she's from Japan and that's her favorite sushi. That's street cred. I'm going to turn left on Trousseau Avenue. I don't know exactly where the boundaries and perimeters were in the late 1800s into the early 1900s, but this was a large plantation from what I understand. So the land was chopped up and divided, and we actually ran into some encroachment issues on this sale. Here at the end of Trousseau, where we're selling the house, my client's rock wall was like 3 inches too far onto the neighbor's. Well, the neighbor didn't care, but come to find out, the neighbor sat on a parcel that involved 2 other homes, his neighbors behind him, and those 2 homes behind them were technically still on that parcel. So we had to get the people on the street, the next street over, to sign off on the encroachment agreement, and they didn't want to do it, etc. And it became a thing. Moral to that story is, when you're in these old neighborhoods, you can run into that sort of stuff, you know. In Kaimuki, people are on numbered streets, numbered avenues, right? So it's 5th Ave, 6th Ave, 7th Ave. A lot of through traffic, a lot of cross traffic here in Kaimuki. If I had the choice between the Diamond Head zone and here, I would probably go with the Diamond Head area, closer to any shopping and stuff you want to do. And it's kind of a thoroughfare to either go to Diamond Head, Waikiki, or to get into Waialae or get on the freeway. So I'm gonna turn left here on 11. We're gonna be crossing into what, you know, we would consider to be the Waialae area. Hence Waialae Avenue here. You could call this Kaimuki. I specifically call it the Waialae area because it's a little different thing, but it's Kaimuki. So I'm gonna turn right on Wilhelmina Rise, and the GoPro footage will show you what we're about to get into here. Apparently it'll also show you the driving challenge as well, because there's cars parked on the side of the road and it's hard for people to get up. And we're gonna go up to the top of this mountain and get some views. Yeah, so this is gonna be just like Kaimuki, right? You're gonna have old plantation houses, and then you're gonna have newer houses where someone tore down an old house and built a new house. This is what we came up here for. So if you wanted to live perched up on a mountain, man, the views are amazing. And so like my wife, when we talk about where we would live, you know, one day when we're further in our journey, you know, buy a more expensive home, would we live towards the mountains or would we live towards the ocean? And for me, I would rather have access to the beach. Like, I want to just make my lifestyle where I come home, if I only want to surf for 30 minutes or go swim for 30 minutes or just sit out there, I can. It'd be harder to do that from here. Chimneys. Did you guys see that house with the chimney? It's an interesting thing here in Hawaii. The older houses on the Big Island or up on the top of Haleakala, it's cold, and I get it. Here, I mean, you know, it's always cool up in these mountains. It's always nice, like 84 and breezy right now. In the winter, some mornings could be 59, you know, or something like that. So we came up here for the purpose of just capturing these views. Like, you can see into Kahala and into the Diamond Head crater. You know, people draw an outline of the sleeping giant from the side, but now you see the dome, the circle shape of Diamond Head, and only people from town see Diamond Head in this fashion. All of the people from central Oahu to the North Shore, West Side, they look at Diamond Head in that side profile. You know, I don't prefer to even look at it like this. You?
It's not the iconic.
Yeah, it ruins it, you know? I'm like, I want 2-dimension Diamond Head, you know? I don't want 3-dimensional Diamond Head. One thing, when you are living on these mountains in Hawaii, if you're not, you know, if you're coming here from Florida or someplace where you're not used to driving up mountains, your brakes, even your car as a whole, the engine, like, it is not going to last quite as long. This album from Hapa back in the 90s, your mom used to listen to this on a Sunday afternoon cleaning, cooking. Uipo. Don't put me singing in a video. The watch count's gonna go down. So when I say Waialae, I distinguish it from Kaimuki because I'm talking about this zone right here. Trendy restaurants, the nudes, like send me nudes, like nudes ramen bar, the surfing pig, coffee talk. You can see the art of coffee, a really cool, you know, trendy coffee shop. This is like an old Hawaii strip that is somewhat still old and then somewhat rejuvenated. Kimchi restaurant, Happy Days dim sum. I ate there, you know, I didn't like it. A lot of people will drive to town just for Happy Days dim sum. This is where you can kind of be not too far from Waikiki, not too far from the universities, have some walkability. Brickfire Tavern, I feel like someone's told me that their pizza is really good. The cutlery. Right here we're passing Sacred Hearts, or the Academy of Sacred Hearts, all girls Catholic school. My wife actually went here for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. She went to Pearl City High School before that. My wife is opposite of me. I was not a straight A student, although I had the aptitude, but I wasn't. But she was a straight A student, very studious, very focused. In Pearl City, then she came here, and her grades actually went down a lot. And she said she had to work really hard to get them up. She values her time as a student, at the private school here and says it really made a difference. And she carried into college with mostly straight A's, except for when we first met. She was dating me, she got a B. Before we get to St. Louis High School, I'm actually going to turn right here into Palolo. My auntie, uncle, and cousin used to live down that street over there. Very, very, very small place on a very small driveway. Palolo, we'll say on average, is not as expensive as some of the surrounding valleys. Palolo has a community housing development, and there's also a boxing club. In Hawaii, there's a handful of places that have boxing gyms, you know. And Kalihi is one. Waialae, of course, always has, you know, good boxing out of Waialae. And Palolo's the other one. There's Wahiwa, Nito's boxing now, more private, but like, you know, there's a handful of places. You can see the swimming pool here at the district park, and there's also the boxing, I believe, happens inside. They call this, I text my cousin, I said, hey, what do you guys call this housing area? She said they call it New Jersey, because the street is like New Jersey Avenue. Government assisted housing, and then right across is the boxing gym. And so you can imagine there's a little bit of a different culture in the area than, say, where we started by Diamond Head with the $10 million houses, right? You know what? Let's just turn on New Jersey since we have to go back that way. But you know what? Don't sleep on Palolo, because when you go back into the valley there are some underrated ocean views and valley settings. So I think it's an underrated place to get a nice lush tropical vibe with ocean views potentially, and proximity to town, right? Proximity to Waikiki and Honolulu. We're talking about government housing, government workers. One guy working, one guy standing. So, how's it, Auntie? We're in Palolo. Right next to us is Manoa, but I'm looking at the clock. We're not going to get to do Manoa today. And you know what? Manoa deserves its own video anyway. One thing I would like to sneak into this video, though, let's show them St. Louis and Chaminade. To my right here is St. Louis School. This is an all-boys school that is related to Sacred Heart. So like the Sacred Heart's cheerleaders cheer for St. Louis, and their team sports are intertwined, and you know, however that works. I'd have to ask my wife. I'm sure at some point we'll do a video on universities, and we will talk about, you know, where to live surrounding certain universities, etc. So Chaminade is one that they have a few programs that they're really known for. Not limited to their international business, I believe. But Chaminade, I think, has a really good like Asian Pacific Studies program. Maybe I'm conflating that with UH. Chaminade is really known for their design program, interior design, their arts program. So between UH and Chaminade, I think it depends on what you're majoring in for people's preferences. Right here on this Chaminade St. Louis campus, there are a couple of condo and apartment buildings. Ideal for college students. So if your son or daughter is coming to Chaminade, or, you know, for whatever reason, maybe they're on an athletic scholarship to St. Louis, because fun fact, St. Louis is one of the, I don't know if they're one of the top rated high school football teams in the country. They're definitely up there. You know, they play schools like De La Salle in California, and these really known football schools, and they will recruit kids from all over this island. So the NFL prospects of the island often get scholarships to go to St. Louis. We pulled over to look at this home. It looks like maybe it was like concrete or CMU or something, and then they covered it with the lava rock style. Like usually in Hawaii we see walls that look like that. Like there's probably one, like there's one right there, right? There's lava rock looking walls, and this looks like they covered the whole house in that. Although in the back I can see it goes back to CMU. So I guess just like more modern homes, sometimes they put like they like adhere stones to like certain parts of the home to make it look nice. They kind of did the same thing here. And then there's a chimney again, and we're not even way up on the mountain, so I think that was just an old school thing, you know. Today we started at Diamond Head. So we started at the Diamond Head lookout overlooking the ocean by the lighthouse. We quickly went into some luxury real estate right next to and bordering Waikiki, or even in Waikiki. And then we stayed out of Waikiki and came up Diamond Head into Kaimuki, Waialae. So Waialae is this area behind me. which is technically Kaimuki. We got into Wilhelmina Rise, so into those mountains behind me, into the university, Chaminade University, some private schools, some public schools. People who are looking to slightly get outside of the city, you know, so the downtown Honolulu, Waikiki, like real city. You know, our Hawaii Kai video was shot way over there. That's, you know, Port Lock way beyond. And so people who don't want to get all the way into that, get all the way into that traffic, want to stay close to town, have some character, have some walkability, proximity to the ocean, this is really the zone. Honolulu as a whole we'll keep coming back to. Let us know what you guys want to see next. If you want to see around the University of Hawaii, Manoa, Nu'uanu, let us know what you guys want to see. Honolulu is going to be a 10, 20 part series over time. We're going to keep coming back to it. We had a good time shooting this video. Hope you guys like it. We're up here at the top of this park shooting our intro, shooting our outro. And hey, we're the channel that brings it to you real, so we deal with this stuff too. What does that say? Oh look, this person's a fan of veteran loans, VA loans. How nice of them.